Hey, Neil, you can go first.
Hello, I'm Taylor Hudson reporting for the Eastern Progress. We're here at the Combs Building tonight. We're going over Student Government Association debates, where we'll be discussing both presidential and vice president roles, as well as the campus activity board.
Okay, I think we can go ahead and get started with our CAB VP candidate debates. Again, my name is Professor Linda Novel. I'll be moderating the debate this evening, and I'll try to follow all the rules that I've been given this evening. If at any time election chair Megan and I screw up, please just let me know, and I will change my ways immediately, I promise. At this time, each person is going to be given 2 minutes to introduce themselves. You'll see we've got some time assistance down here, so we can keep you on time. I'm afraid that once the time is over, I'll need to ask you to end, regardless of where you are in your answer. So if you want to begin, you'll have 2 minutes to first introduce yourself, and then we'll start with some of the questions that we've been given by our elections chair. So take it away.
Well, hi everybody. My name is Curtis DeGrant. I am running for Vice President of the Campus Activities Board, previously known as SAC. I'm a business management major here at EKU. I've been around EKU as well since originally 2015 when I started school, and then I went to model since my 3rd grade year, so EKU is my home, and I would like to say that I'm a Charter Colonel. I also work for Student Life and First Year Experience, so I have a pretty good understanding as to how events and stuff on campus work, and I would really appreciate this opportunity.
Okay, our second candidate.
Hello everyone, my name is Lily. I go by Lily, but my real name is Lily Ellorenz. I first want to start off by thanking everyone at EKU for the opportunity to even sit here in front of you today and speak on behalf of the student body, and even have just this wonderful opportunity to reach out to you all and do what's best for you all. I'm very excited. I am currently a 4th year here at EKU. I'll be graduating spring of next year with a 4-year degree in Child and Family Studies, a 2-year degree in nursing, and I'm also an honors scholar and have a psychology minor. So obviously academics is very important to me, as it is most college students, so I'm right there with you all and understand the struggle. I've been an orientation leader here on campus, love working with the freshmen. I've also been a Colonel Crew leader for 2 years prior to my orientation leader experience, and that was probably one of my favorite things about being an upperclassman at EKU. I love working with the underclassmen. I think that's a great area to branch out into in the future, and I've welcomed myself into EKU back in 2018 and built into Greek life, honors, SGA this past year, and that was something new for me but very exciting, and I've built into the exec board, and I am just very grateful for all these experiences and grateful to talk with you all today.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for that introduction. We're now going to move on to the question portion of our debate tonight. And to do that, let me just briefly describe the rules so that everyone's aware. I have a series of questions that have been given to me by the election committee. I have 6 questions for both of you. We'll be alternating back and forth on which one of you gets to answer first and which one of you will respond. The individual who's chosen to speak first, which will be Lily, since she did the second in her introductions, will be given 90 seconds to answer the question. The rebuttal, or the second person answering the question, will receive 60 seconds to answer the question. Once again, our timers will be down here to help you manage your time appropriately. So, any questions from my panel? Are we ready to go? Okay, excellent. So, first question for Lily. What is something new you hope to add to this position?
Yes, I am very excited to see what this upcoming year has to bring, especially coming out of COVID. Hopefully it stays coming out of COVID. One thing that I think would be unique to incorporate is more faculty involvement. I think that the higher ups at EKU are intimidating to a lot of students, and a lot of students don't know them quite as well. So incorporating them in some of our activities and events, and students realizing that they're real people too, can make EKU a more welcoming community, not only for the staff, but the students, and that's very important. I also want to branch out through SGA with a lot of these incoming freshmen and new students. That's a great way to promote our organization and a great way to get new involvement in the program. Even if students don't join SGA to be a part of our program, it's still a great opportunity for them to get involved in our activities. And that's what we're here to do, host activities that are fun for everyone, not just one organization, not just one type of student, but everyone on campus.
Okay, thank you. Now you have 60 seconds for rebuttal.
As Lily said, I would say that the higher-ups around EKU and all across the different departments, considering I have working professional relationships with a lot of them, engagement across that would be a top priority of mine, as well as engaging more students to attend events, and also better management of our funds and our tuition that is put towards it, and we're not wasting our money on stuff that students would not enjoy and participate in.
Okay, great. I'll go ahead and you can start our second question. Again, you'll have 90 seconds to respond. What experience do you think you have that helps prepare you for this role?
As I said previously, I work for Student Life and First Year Experience. I am side by side with Lonnie, Nikki, Bree, and all of them. I also founded and I'm the current president of the Maroon Platoon. I hosted our first ever baseball tailgate today. I'd say that was a success. I've also done business management as my major, so I would say that running and coordinating events and spending money and things would make me highly qualified for this position.
And response?
For my previous experiences, I was the director of sisterhood with my sorority here on campus, so I have quite a bit of experience at managing budgets and planning really fun events that the majority of our chapter enjoys. I'm also on the exec board for our CAB group here on campus, and I run all of the events, major or minor. We work really closely as an exec board. I got to work really closely with Jake, running CAB over the summer and working with the freshmen, and Jenna and Ken, getting to know all these freshmen and really getting that involvement. I've also been working with these freshmen for quite a long time. I know the 3+ years previously and then my current class, and I really have enjoyed learning about all of the different types of students, and not just the students that I relate with, but everyone on campus.
Great, I guess the next question then will go first to you. What makes the Big E experience for you personally?
For me, I think a lot of people can tell it's probably the community. That's something that stands out at EKU more than anything else to me. That's something that made me feel so welcome my freshman year. I felt like I could be who I wanted to be. I wasn't as involved my freshman year, but I had so many friends through going to events through CAB. It was SAC back then. I didn't even know what it was, but I just showed up, and it gave me a purpose here on campus, and it gave me friends. That led me to join Greek life. It led me to join SGA and continue my experiences and honors. And I think that's so important to continue on through the Eastern experience and even grow upon and make events that other communities recognize and look up to. And something that students can all relate with, a love for this campus and a love for the community here at EKU.
Wonderful. What makes the Big E experience for you?
I would also like to say, well, add on to that, I guess, EKU is a home away from home, working alongside all the freshmen, because I am a first year leader, so I work in first year courses as well, and making welcome, is telling them that this is a home away from home. You will find your family here, and you will become a part of it. For me, it is definitely being involved and engaging in registered student organizations, or activities on campus and making friends, because that leads to higher retention and higher success rates for people to graduate, which I greatly appreciate as well.
Great, I guess as a follow-up to that, then how do you, exhausting more?
No, I'm just like really nervous. Anyway.
You're both doing great. You're both doing great. I guess as a follow-up to this, the Big E experience, how do you plan to share this Big E experience with students across campus?
I would say probably higher levels of marketing on campus, and ensuring that more students are aware of the Engaging Core Cap so they can check events on their phone. Maybe probably bring more flyers around campus that aren't just going out to the dorms, but maybe around Wallace, Combs, New Science, BTC, all that fun stuff.
Follow up the same question. How do you plan to share this Big E experience?
Could you repeat the question?
Oh, of course. How do you plan to share the Big E experience with students across
Absolutely. I think that primarily hearing about other students' experiences will encourage other students to get involved more. If they hear about how great of a time I've had and how I'm involved on campus, what I'm doing, what events I'm going to, they may be more eager to attend those events. And if they attend those events, they're making more friends. They're getting more involved and they're making more experiences. And that community is something they can build in their own lives too. It's not something we can force upon people. But I think creating events that not just Greek life wants to attend, or not just seniors want to attend, not just freshmen want to attend. That's so important because the community doesn't stop freshman year. The community doesn't stop senior year. It's a lifelong community here at EKU, and that's what makes us stand out apart from a lot of other schools. We're smaller than many other schools around us, but the community that you can create in your own time here is so valuable and so important.
Our candidates are in full agreement. Lily, I guess this will first go to you now. Why are you interested in running for this position?
Like I said, I've had a lot of experience with being involved on our exec board with CAB over this past year, and I have fallen in love with not only CAB but SGA as I've gotten to see the inner workings and work with so many amazing people that I see on the side over here and throughout this room. I've made quite a few great relationships through SGA, and I'm excited to see what it has to hold in the future. Sad to see people leave and graduate, but it's something that I think that I could really provide a lot of input and value to this organization and CAB specifically, and I love working with other people, and a strong exec board can really lead to a strong environment for the student body to grow in.
Thank you. And why are you interested in running for this position?
I am interested in running for VP of CAB because I want to serve the greater Eastern community. Like I said earlier, I've been around EKU for a while, and I remember that EKU used to be fun and engagement has gone down. Yes, it's a lot for COVID, but I want to make EKU fun again for everyone and just enjoy and engage more with the community as a whole and just make EKU fun again.
I think that's a great slogan.
Thank you.
Okay, this will be our last question. We'll start with you again. Why do you think you are uniquely qualified to be the Campus Activity Board's Vice President?
Really good question. Like I said earlier, I know a lot of the higher ups without the Eastern community. I also am highly involved in Greek life, and outside of that, I also do Maroon Platoon and other things as well. And for that, my goal for the Maroon Platoon is to engage students that aren't Greek affiliated because I see nothing but a lot of Greek students and nothing against them. But I'd like to see more people get involved, and I feel like that's what would make me uniquely qualified to get everyone and become a family.
Great. And your unique qualifications for the position?
Yes, I too know a lot of the higher ups here at EKU through my time as a curriculum leader and an orientation leader. I've gotten to learn and grow through them and teach all of the freshmen around campus, and that's been amazing. I also have this previous experience working on the exec board, so I've got to see a lot of the inner workings and plannings behind a lot of the events that we've had this current year, and hopefully to come to our events this spring. You'll enjoy it. And I also think that I will have a lot of time next year to dedicate to this organization. As I'm very involved on campus, that will be going down a little bit next semester as my classes kind of level out, which will be great for me. And I really want to dedicate a lot of time because it is so important to have a fun campus for everyone out here to enjoy and everyone on campus to build that community and experience that we're all seeking in college.
Great. Well, thank you both for answering all of our questions. We now have time for some brief closing statements by each of you, and this will go in reverse order of opening statements. So Lily, you will go first. You'll have 90 seconds to make a closing statement.
I would just like to close once again by saying thank you to everybody for this opportunity. I'm very grateful for it. I also want to hear what everybody on campus has to say, what you all want to see, what suggestions you all have. Whether I get this position or not, that's the student's voice, and that's what we're all about here with SGA, and that's so important. I want you all to feel that you're being heard, and you can come speak with me at any point. Like I said, I want fun for everyone, not just one person, not just one group. not just one organization. I want to hear from every group, and I want to incorporate that in every activity that we have.
Thank you all so much for the opportunity to be able to run. Regardless, I say that we're both highly qualified, and either way, it's going to work out for EKU's greater good. But I want to make EKU more fun again and just serve the greater community and be the best that I can be for you guys.
Great, thank you both so much for coming. This now ends this portion of the debate. So you guys can go. I think we need a big round of applause. We'll now be running directly to the vice president. Okay, so now I think if I can have our vice presidential candidates come up, we'll go ahead and draw straws and do our order of speakers.
Is it by first or last?
First.
Not when. Oh. We were told last.
So we can do it that way, that's fine. Well, our talk is
Who are my vice president?
I'm one. It's one of them.
Okay.
Let's do president on the left and vice president on the right.
Where we go?
Okay, so I'm going to draw straws. The short straw will speak first. The medium straw will speak second, and the long straw will speak first. Okay, so you want to order in which they want to draw? Or who's our alphabetical order?
I guess it would be, who has the,
I can just draw short.
Perfect, go for it. I believe that is our
Short.
Is that how long? That is our medium. So first, I'll need to play there. Second, and then third. Great. Thank you. At this point, everybody wanted to test their mics real quick. Especially the third one, I don't think so.
it's on the bottom.
Oh. Okay, wonderful. Okay, well now we will have our vice presidential candidates debate. We will begin first by having 2-minute introductions for each candidate. And similar to the CAB vice presidential debate, we'll have timekeepers down here that help you maintain time. So each one of you will have 2 minutes to do an opening statement, then we'll have a series of questions, and then we'll have closing statements as well. So our short straw may go first.
Hello, everyone. My name is Holly Miller. Very happy to be here with you all tonight alongside my wonderful running mate and my very worthy opponents. Like I said, my name is Holly Miller. I am a second-year junior and a psychology major. I'll be graduating next spring, and I'm super excited to look forward to, and I'll be pursuing my master's degree here. Long-term goal is to become a clinical psychologist and to open my own practice in Eastern Kentucky to serve those people who are lacking mental health resources. That's something that I'm very passionate about and very excited to do with my life. During my time in SGA, I joined fall of last year. This makes my second year almost being in SGA. I served as the Sergeant at Arms, the Ad Hoc Safety Committee Chair, and the Committee on Committee Chairs. Being in SGA is one of my favorite things that I've done with my college experience. It's helped me to serve EKU, it's helped me to serve Richmond, and that, like I said, that's something that I'm super passionate about, helping other people. Absolutely love it. Other campus involvement, I am a student alumni ambassador. I currently serve as the Vice President of Recruitment for that organization and the Diversity Committee Chair. I've also been involved in the Collegiate Kentucky Farm Bureau, the History Club, and the Ag Club during my time at Eastern. I absolutely love Eastern and am excited for an opportunity to serve you all.
Okay, thank you very much. Our next vice presidential candidate can be now introduced.
Hi everyone, my name is McKenna Lambert and I'm a sophomore nursing student here at EKU and I currently serve as the Academic Affairs Committee Chair in the Senate. and I'm running for the Executive Vice President position alongside my running mate, Jimena Patino, as a part of the Kindness Campaign. And as a part of the Kindness Campaign, we have 3 platforms, and today I want to talk to you all a little bit about those platforms and how those affect me as I'm running for the EVP position. And so our first platform is kindness, and of course that's the name of our campaign. We are the Kindness Campaign, so that's what our emphasis is on. And with kindness, we want to make sure that every single student's voice here on campus is heard and respected and represented in our government. And to do this, we want to make sure we have an open door policy so that all students can come in and speak to their leaders directly and make sure that their voices are heard and that the problems that they see on campus are immediately addressed. We also want to make sure we're very transparent and honest in all of our decision making, because I feel like a lot of times SGA doesn't have the best outlook among the campus community because everyone feels like it's so hush-hush and it's so secretive, but we want to make sure that everyone feels a part of the process. We also want to serve our campus community, and part of doing this as EVP would be RSO appropriations and making those more clear and transparent for every single RSO on campus and reaching out to underrepresented RSOs on campus. And our final platform is sustainability, and we want to make sure that we focus on recycling, reusing, and reducing, as well as reusing Barnes & Noble's Book Smart boxes, as that has created a lot of waste here on campus. So we are a student-focused campaign, and I'm really thankful for your time.
Thank you very much. And our last VP introduction.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. I first want to say it's wonderful to see so many people here, and this is a wonderful opportunity for us, so thank you for the Elections Committee for organizing this. My name is Travis Pendergraft. I'm running for the Executive Vice President position alongside my running mate, Paige Murphy. I'm currently a junior here at EKU in a 3+2 Cyber Systems Technology degree, so I will also be here for graduate school. I have been involved on campus in several different organizations. I first got involved as in Greek life as a member of my fraternity. I've served in several leadership roles in that fraternity, and it's really gotten me out of my shell here at EKU and what I can attribute a lot of my success to. I'm currently the vice president of the fraternity, and I'm serving on the Interfraternity Council, where I served as vice president of finance, and I'm currently serving as president. In SGA, I'm serving as the IT committee chairman. This is a wonderful opportunity, relates directly to my major, and something I think we need a lot of attention to over the next year, especially in making sure that we get that chair and that fund running well again.
Great. Thank you to all of our candidates for those introductions. We're now going to be segueing into our question and answer period, or question period of the debate. Like our previous panel, we'll allow the first person who was given the question to respond for 90 seconds, and then the other 2 panelists will be given 60 seconds for their responses. We'll be going in reverse order that we did in introductions. So Travis, you'll be doing the first question, given 90 seconds to respond. What do you think is the purpose of the SGA Senate?
I think the Senate's purpose is to represent as many students as well as possible. Our first platform in our campaign is inclusion, and part of inclusion is making sure that we hear the voices of every student that we possibly can, and making sure that we represent those students in our decision-making in the Senate. We have several senator positions, and I think that it would be wonderful to see those positions filled for people all over campus and different organizations that maybe haven't had as much involvement in the past. I think it's also important that SGA and the Senate especially represents those student organizations well and the student body well, and making sure that we appropriate funding correctly, work on the transparency of that funding and how we do those things, and make sure that everything runs smoothly and everyone has an equal opportunity at the things that we do in Senate.
Thank you. McKenna, what do you think the purpose of SGA Senate is?
I think the purpose of the SGA Senate is to bring student leaders from all across campus, all walks of life together in a conversation to talk about the important issues that we have on campus, and to make sure that we try and address those issues in the best way possible in a timely manner. Senate is going to be a way for us to all come together and really just talk about the ways we can make EKU better. And so for me running as EVP, I want to help facilitate those conversations and make sure that students feel like they can speak up and use their voice and tell us about these concerns so we can address them in the most effective way possible.
And Holly, what do you think the purpose of SGA Senate is?
I think that the main purpose of the SGA Senate is to hear concerns, find concerns, and resolve concerns of the student body. As a senator in my time, I saw lots of different issues arise. I think that it's important for senators to always be looking for issues, asking students if they have issues, and finding ways to resolve them. Working with administrators, like McKenna said, facilitating conversations, and making sure that the proper actions are being taken to resolve any problems, conflicts, or issues within the campus community.
Thank you so much. We'll now move on to our second question. This will be first given to McKenna, and you'll receive 90 seconds to answer the question. The question is, what specific bylaw revisions, if any, would you like to see happen in the Senate?
Yeah, so I think for bylaw revisions in Senate, I think I would especially like to clarify RSO funding. I talked a little bit about this in my opening statement. I would like to clarify exactly what we're looking for within our ranking and what we're looking for when we are actually trying to approve budgets and packets, because a lot of RSOs find that very, very unclear. And they have a hard time connecting with senators that are representing them, because maybe even the senators aren't even completely informed on how that process works. And so education can go a long way with that, and making sure
that the RSO appropriations are run smoothly, like handling the RSO appropriations in a way that everyone feels educated and knowledgeable about what's going on, and have that written into the bylaws about that direct communication, and setting a deadline for when that communication should be given out.
Great, thank you. Holly, do you have any specific bylaw revisions you'd like to see happen in the Senate?
Well, I absolutely love bylaws. I'm a big Robert's Rules of Order fanatic. In doing so, I love looking at bylaws, and there are several revisions that I would like to see made. I know that the current Senate is currently working on bylaw revisions to make RSO appropriations a one academic year process, which I'm a big fan of. Change that I would like to see, I'm currently serving as the COC, and while I love this position, I do feel like there should be a bylaw revision to make that position a little bit different and restructured. I think that clumping the COC position in with the position of Sergeant at Arms would be incredibly beneficial. With those two positions, they should work alongside the EVP, and I don't really see the point of having two separate positions for that. I think that they could be one cohesive position, and would be much more beneficial for both of those positions to be one person. And that would be the biggest change I would like to make.
Thank you. And Travis, are there any specific bylaw revisions you'd like to see?
Absolutely. I think we have a great basis on bylaws at the moment. RSO funding has a made on the communication aspects of it. But mostly what I want to look at is the IT funding. That's my current chair position. And quite honestly, that's a position and a fund that hasn't been well taken care of in quite a while. And I think there's several improvements that can be made on that. There are things that my committee is currently working on to revise those bylaws, make them more like RSO funding and more like what RSO funding should be. Although it is different with the communication of administration. And I think that's another thing that we can work on, is the communication between the administration and university IT when approving IT budget purchases, and making sure that we keep a steady fund in the IT budget, and that we know what we have at all times, because I know there's been some confusion in the past. I also think it's important that Senate as a whole continues to approve the purchases that are made out of the IT fund to make sure that we're spending the money well, and how the student body would like it to be spent.
Thank you. We'll now move on to our third question, and this will first go to Holly for 90 seconds to respond. As an EVP candidate, what qualifies you to preside as a student senate?
Like I said in my previous question, I'm a big Robert's Rules fanatic. During my time in high school, I was a 4-year member of the National FFA organization, and through that, I gained so much valuable experience with leadership skills, but possibly more important for the Student Senate is parliamentary procedure rules. I was a 4-year member of the parliamentary procedure team and took a team to the national contest, which was a huge ordeal. Doing so allows me to know how to run meetings efficiently and in a proper and fair manner. And I think that that is possibly my greatest qualification for being the EVP, just because I have that knowledge base and am prepared for any sort of issue that may arise in a meeting in the Student Senate. the real Senate of the real government to use parliamentary procedure, and that is such an important aspect of that to keep things fair, and as we often say, to ensure the rights of the minority and the rule of the majority. Other than that, I do think that I have some pretty good leadership skills with communication, keeping things running smoothly, communicating with senators to make sure that we are doing our best to serve the student body. That's all I've got.
Thank you very much. McKenna, what qualifies you to preside over?
So in high school, I also had a lot of experience with parliamentary procedure because I did a lot of Y clubs and I did Kentucky United Nations Assembly and Kentucky Youth Assembly. And for those of you who don't know, the KYA organization,
They represent state government, and CUNA emulates UN. And so for me, I've had a lot of experience with that. I also currently serve as the committee chair of academic affairs, and I've served in this position for 2 years under Nick Koenig and Ken Lin. So for me, I've been able to see both their different leadership styles and take what I like from both different leaders and apply that to my own leadership skills. And for me, I've had a lot of experience working with COC and running a committee and serving as a leader and making those connections with faculty. So for me, I feel very qualified and very ready for this position.
Okay, thank you. And Travis, what qualifies you to preside over Student Senate?
I think my collegiate experience, especially with the Interfraternity Council, I lead a meeting every single week with multiple different delegates from different chapters who all have different interests. And I think that has trained me on being impartial and making sure that the decisions that we vote on are fully informed and the things that we do allow each of our senators to have equal representation. I think my experience so far in Senate as IT committee chair also helps in helping me understand how to run things on a committee level and making sure that I can preside over those committees and make sure that they are doing their job properly. And I also think that my other experiences in other clubs and with organizations here on campus will allow me to use the EDP position to reach out to different organizations and different students on campus in order to recruit new senators.
Thank you very much. We'll now move on to our next question, and Travis, you'll be the first to take this question with 90 seconds. The question is, what is an initiative you plan to start in the Senate?
So a major initiative that I plan to start in the Senate is bylaw revisions, actually. As I've said before, my IT committee chair experience has been a very interesting experience, to say the least. I think there's some major improvements that need to be made in that position, and I think there's a lot of bylaw revisions that can be made on that. Specifically, I want to make sure that we can open up channels of communication with administration. I have a very good working relationship with University ITCO Whitaker right now, where I've been working on legislation with him and making sure that we can fund things through the IT fund. But I also think that there's some improvements that can be made on that to ensure that what we pass in the Senate gets followed up on afterwards. Things that we pass for funding get checked up on by the committees who pass them for funding or by senators who are designated for those positions, and making sure that we actually check up on those items and ensure that they're being used as they were meant to be used, and that we're being good stewards of the funds given to us by the students. This is the students' money, it's the students' voice, and that's what Senate is meant to be altogether.
Thank you. McKenna, same question. What initiative do you plan to start in the Senate?
So I've touched on this a little bit, but the biggest initiative I would like to enforce is changing how RSO appropriations are run and making sure that it's more equitable for every single student organization on campus, because I feel like a lot of organizations don't know how to reach out and how to receive these funds. They don't know what we're looking for. They don't know what's expected of them. So that's something I would definitely like to change. I would also like to make sure that I stay in touch with every single senator and have that direct communication so that I can push them to create legislation that will affect campus and that really matters to them. Because I think as EDP, we should raise up the next leaders of this organization and make sure that they're prepared to take on these roles and that they're prepared to run for office eventually one day and leave SGA in good hands. So making sure that the senators feel really supported in the Senate is especially important.
Thank you. And Holly, what initiative do you plan to start in the Senate?
Well, one initiative that I would like to start is to make Senate a little bit more social. I think that if we were a little bit more social with one another, that we would get a lot more work done in a more efficient manner. This semester, me and EDP WIN have started Senate socials. That's something that I would like to continue within Senate. I think that we've had a lot of fun with those. We've got to know each other better, and as a result, I think that we're going to work much better together through the remainder of the semester. Another initiative that I'd like to start that would be a campus-wide initiative is an annual safety week. That's an initiative that we are starting this year, kind of came from an idea that I was throwing around in a committee meeting, and that's something that I want to continue and expand on in years to come and make it just a traditional event for the entire EKU campus.
Okay, thank you. Our next question, I'll first go to McKenna. She'll have 90 seconds to respond. What does student representation mean to you?
Student representation means a whole lot to me. It means that students' voices are heard all across campus, and that every single student on this campus feels like they have a voice so that they can speak up and voice concerns on this campus. In the past, many students haven't really felt very comfortable coming to SGA with their problems. They feel like maybe it's not for them, or they're intimidated by the process, or they don't connect with their leaders on campus. And so I feel like it's really important to make sure that, especially for our open door policy, and making sure that everyone feels like they can come to us with issues. That will help us better represent the student body and make sure that they feel seen and heard and respected on campus. Also, again, recruiting students who come from diverse backgrounds and come from diverse RSOs, and making sure that we reach out to all across campus, all walks of life, and make sure that they all feel seen and heard is really important to student representation. Because right now we've had a really difficult time with initiating diverse efforts in Senate. And so that's something I would like to address as EVP. I would like to reach out to more students on campus so we can better represent all populations on this campus and make sure that everyone feels seen, heard, and appreciated for their ideas, because every single student's voice matters, and I want to make sure that everyone feels so.
Thank you. Holly, what does student representation mean to you?
I think that student representation should be everything to a senator. Without the student voice, the student senate is powerless, because we are representatives of the student voice. Each senator roughly represents 500 students. As such, that is a tremendous responsibility, and hearing the student voice should be a main priority of each and every senator, and really each and every SGA member, in my opinion. We should always be asking students what they would like to see done on campus, and to make it a better place for them and a better place for them to get their education. The purpose of the university is to serve students, and without their voices, how are we supposed to serve them? So in short, the student voice is everything for an SGA member, and especially a senator.
Thank you. And Travis, what does student representation mean to you?
For me, student representation means that we have students making in the rooms where decisions are being made. We have several university committees here at EKU that are wonderful and make a lot of decisions that affect students. But I want to make sure that we have accurate representation, good representation from students' voices, because sometimes there is a little bit of a disconnect on what you're administrating and how that would affect students. So I want to make sure that we reach out to as many student groups as possible, because let's just be honest, it's not possible for one person to know the views of every single person here at EKU. But it is possible for that one person to work with a group of people and to find people all over campus who can represent views that they do not. And I think that that's vital to the support of Senate and to the support of the student body, and making sure that we have students in the rooms where decisions are being made who can represent their student effect, how their student life will be affected in those decisions.
Okay, thank you. Now that is the 5 questions that I was given by the Elections Committee. I now have, I believe, some time to take some questions from the student audience. If anyone wants to raise their hand, I can come to you and you can ask your question. All the way in the back, maybe we'll record. Okay.
Oh, I got this. I can speak on it.
Can you hear it on the recording? Will you be able to hear? Yes, we can hear.
Why should I vote for you?
Okay, the question is, why should I vote for you? And I believe, Holly, it is your turn.
Well, me and Jana, we are here for the students. Our slogan is "Only Make Big Plans," and as such, we plan on only making big plans for EKU and the students. We're super excited to bring some new initiatives to campus and initiatives that will be for the students. We want to work on making campus, bringing back school spirit, and making campus a fun place to be, make students be proud to be a Colonel. That's something that I'm proud of being, and we want to make sure that each Colonel has a purpose for being a Colonel and for being proud to be an EKU student.
Okay, Travis, same question.
Absolutely. So our campaign slogan is big plans, big change. Very similar, obviously, but this is something that we're committed to making those big plans and then following through with those plans. So one of those plans is gathering more student representation, making sure that we include students from all walks of life and all over campus, and then continuing to work with those students to make sure that their ideas get communicated well to administration and to make sure that we get something done about those ideas.
McKenna?
I think you should vote for the kindness campaign because everyone on this campus could use a little more kindness, especially with the recent COVID-19 pandemic. All of us have felt so isolated and so separated, and we feel like it's hard to connect to people. And as we're slowly coming out of that, it's really important to show each other that we're here for one another and that we care and that we want to be kind to one another. And an administration that represents that. And so you should vote for us because we represent that kindness, and we represent we represent a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on and a voice for you all. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Other questions from our audience?
What is the biggest area of concern and what area needs the most improvement in Senate now?
Okay, so the question is, what is the biggest area of concern and what needs the most improvement in Senate now? And Travis will be the first person to respond to that question.
For me, I think the biggest area of concern is outreach. I think we need to highly increase our involvement in Senate and making sure that we can communicate everything that we do well to the student body. It's important that we gather as many participants as possible from all over campus, like I've been saying, and making sure that we have people representing the student body who can actually represent the student body, not people from the same group trying to represent all 14,000 students. I think it's a huge thing that we need to work on in getting new senators from all over campus, and then making sure that the initiatives that we work on through Senate can be communicated back to those groups with the approval of those groups. That way, everybody has the opportunity to voice their opinion and decide whether or not we need to do more and know how to communicate that. I think there's a huge issue in communication and making sure that students from all over campus have the same, hear the same thing at some points in time. Not everybody uses the same social media, and not everybody.
Thank you. McKenna?
I agree with Travis, but I disagree slightly in the approach. I agree with the fact that Senate greatly needs to increase their outreach efforts because we've had a difficult time with retention within the Senate. We've had a lot of senators who either have conflicting organizations or classes that don't allow them to continue on as a senator. And so I think we should make sure that we are reaching out to students that represent our student body. And right now, we are a very homogenized Senate, and that's something that definitely needs to change because we represent the student body. We need to look like the student body. We need to have the thoughts and the mind of the student body, and we need to make sure that we reach out to every single person on campus and tell them, hey, we are SGA, and we're here to represent you, and we want you to be involved. We don't want to just speak for you. We want you to be involved in the process and the decision-making so that we can truly represent your thoughts and beliefs and make sure that you are heard on campus.
Thank you. Holly?
Well, I agree with both of my opponents. Outreach is a big thing that I do believe needs to be worked on in the Senate. But I think we cover pretty much everything. So I want to talk about something slightly different, and that is improving the quality of our current Senate, making it run more efficiently, making Robert's Rules of Order a bigger part of that, making sure that it's educated. I also want to make sure that things are running more efficiently. I know that we frequently pass legislation, but then we have a hard time actually getting that legislation carried out. I want to make sure that once things have been voted on in the Senate and passed, that those action is taken on that. Our work is pointless if it doesn't get carried out. So that's something that I want to make sure is fulfilled if elected.
Thank you very much. Any further questions from the audience?
You all talked about things that don't work currently. Can you elaborate on something that this administration has done good in?
Okay, so the question is, you've already spoken about things that don't work. Could you please elaborate on something that's currently working in the current administration is doing well? Okay, McKenna, you'll be the first one to answer this question, receiving 90 seconds.
So I'm going to spend my time talking about EVP Wynn because I feel like he's done a fantastic job in his current position. He didn't have a lot of experience coming into his role, and he made the most of it, and he was willing to grow and learn, and I really appreciate that in a leader, and that's something that I hope to continue on if elected. I think nobody is perfect, and nobody is completely prepared for this role. We all have our own experiences and our own backgrounds, but none of us are going to know exactly what it's like until we're in it. And so having that mindset of, I don't know everything, but I'm willing to listen and I'm willing to grow and learn is something that's super important, and it's something that EVP Wynn has really embodied. So that's something that I find very important. And he also made really good efforts to reach out to every single one of us individually and talk about our passions, talk about what we're
interested in and what we'd like to write legislation on, help push us and further drive us to better our campus community and not be idle members of the Senate. And that's something I would also like to continue. I'd like to make sure that I interact with every single senator and make sure I listen to them
and hear what they would like to do in Senate, because everyone comes to Senate for a different reason. Everyone sees a different issue on campus that wants to be addressed, and everyone should be able to address that and have the tools to address that. So making sure that students not only have a passion and a drive, but giving them the tools to do that and to write the legislation and to make sure that they can accomplish that successfully. I think that's something that EVP Wynn has done a very good job at.
Thank you. Holly, same question. We've already talked about sort of the things that you'd like to improve upon in Senate, but what do you believe that the current administration is currently doing well?
Well, first of all, I can say that I have so much respect for the current administration, Student Vice President Jenna, EVP Wynn, and Jake, CAB, all the cabinets, each and every SGA member, truly. I think that one thing that is working great is the persistence that this administration has had. I know that there's been several difficulties, still recovering from COVID. It's been really hard to get students interested again, and that has been an issue, but I think that the current administration has done great at overcoming those obstacles. So I think that the thing that works best right now is just the persistence and grit that each SGA member, and especially the administrators of our organization, have had and shown.
Travis, same question?
I want to start and say I want to be very clear. I don't think this administration has done a bad job. It's very easy to be misconstrued on that, especially when we're talking about all of these improvements. But Ken and I have had several conversations about how in every aspect of life there's always room for improvement, and I'm a major believer in that. I think that this administration has done very good at being intentional with how you get to know senators and with how we get to know the people who are in SGA and the people around SGA. I think it's something, I know mental health was a major thing for their campaign, and I think that's something that they've followed through with very well. I'm looking forward to all the events, especially this month, Mental Health Month. I think it's very important that we continue to follow through with those and continue to do one-on-ones with senators and one-on-ones with the members of our student body, making sure that everyone is doing well in their academic life, in their mental health, and in their every other aspect of life.
Thank you. Further questions from the audience? Over here.
Hi, I was just wondering, all of you have spoke about engagement on campus, and I was just wondering how exactly you plan on making sure students are involved and where you plan on making sure you can hear students' voices, making sure everyone is heard.
Okay, so the question involves both how the candidates plan to encourage engagement and involvement on campus,
As well as how do they plan to make sure the students' voices are actually being heard?
Okay, so the question involves how do you promote student engagement and involvement, and how do you make sure that student voices are heard on campus? Okay. The question will begin with Holly. She'll have 90 seconds to respond.
I'll begin with the engagement aspect of that question. I think that having good promotion, having an excellent PR cabinet within SGA is a great step in the right direction. I think that another step in the right direction for that issue is to make sure that SGA is committed to attending events, to being engaged with campus. I think that promoting that within the organization is the most important thing. We need to be examples as SGA members to the rest of the campus community. As far as having their voices heard, one thing that I would like to encourage to be continued is the dinner with the presidents, which just started. The first one happened a week or so ago. That was a great opportunity for students to go and have their voice directly heard by President McFadden. And that is something that I would like to see continued in the future. I also want to make sure that we're having tabling events so that students can come up to our table and tell us issues that they're having. Make sure that the SGA office is known about so that students can come there and talk to a senator that's hanging out in the office. Maybe have a drop box for suggestions in the office so that if students want to write something down, they drop it in the box so that we can be aware of the concern. I think all of these are great ways to encourage both engagement and having voices heard.
Travis, same question.
I think that's a great question. I think it starts with finding a common ground on how to communicate with students. I think a lot of the issues we have now is that, like I said, not everybody looks at the same Instagram account. Not everybody looks at this, reads all of the emails that are sent out, and not all of those have the same information on them. So I think finding common ground, making a common newsletter of different things that we can send out on accomplishments or upcoming events for each month would be a great way to start. And then I think it ends with making sure that we follow up with each student, making sure that every student has the availability, knows our availability for office hours, which we plan to do open office hours and outreach events on campus, and to making sure that we get their contact information and then we can follow up with them after, no matter what the result of the item is, so that they know one way or the other that we did look into it and that we are working on it and trying to hear their voices and follow up on that.
Camilla and I have talked about this extensively, and we think that reaching out to students rather than having them always come to us is something that SGA needs to work on. And so to do that, we want to go to the RSOs that maybe have issues or would like to address something within SGA and talk to them rather than having them always have to come to us. And so we also have talked about having an open door policy and making sure that every student can come in and voice their opinion, whatever they want, and tell us the concerns that they have on campus, tell us what's going on and exactly from their perspective what they would like to change.
We've also talked about having an anonymous survey that students can fill out any concerns or questions they have on campus, and they can have an option for their contact information if they'd like to be further contacted. But that way we can address their concerns in a way that is quick and concise and allows us to have that direct line of communication. And that survey will go
to the student body president once a week for her to directly address that. And so that way we can have that direct line of communication.
Thank you. Next question from the audience.
As a former senator, I notice a lot of senators currently and before only use Senate as a resume builder. My question is to you, what would you do to inspire senators to work for the student body and not for themselves?
So the question is, what would you do to encourage student senators to see this as a service position, not as something that simply is padding their resume? This first question will go to Travis.
I think that's a great question. I think a lot of that comes with the one-on-one meetings and making sure that before they're appointed as a senator, even when they're elected, making sure that the EVP has a one-on-one meeting with them, see what their goals are in Senate, and then kind of keep continuing to follow up with them and making sure that they are following up on those goals. I also think it's important that, we all have our personal goals and things that we'd like to accomplish, but we're not here as a resume builder, like what you say. It's important that we try to do some outreach events and have senators directly work with different organizations on things that they are worried about. I think sponsoring senators for RSOs is a wonderful thing that allows senators to directly work with an RSO for an event that an RSO is very passionate about. I think that's something that we can spread out through a lot of other things with SGA and with Senate, and making sure that senators reach out to different people from different communities and make sure that they can work on something with that organization or with that person, and then follow through with that throughout Senate.
McKenna, same question.
Yeah, so part of the EVP's position is when there are senator positions open, they get to help appoint those senators and have them go up for appointment in front of the Senate. And so I think really vetting the people that want to be a part of Senate and making sure that they're there for the right reasons and that they're there because they want to make a change on campus and not just because they want to pad out their resume is something that's really important. But something that I've also noticed in previous EVPs in the past that have helped keep me engaged personally is that personal connection and showing everyone the problems on the campus, but then giving them the tools to help fix them. Because just showing someone the problems on this campus is just going to make them feel hopeless and feel like they can't do anything about it, or maybe that they're not a strong enough leader to fix it. But giving them the tools, giving them the contacts, letting them know how they can solve these problems will help them stay in Senate because they'll recognize the work that they've done for the campus community.
Thank you. Holly? First of all, I would like to say that, sorry, excuse me, I almost forgot the question.
The question really is related to how you're going to make sure that Senate members of Student Senate see themselves in a service position and not merely having their own personal resumes for the position.
Yes, thank you. I think that the way to do this is to lead by example and to make sure that my motivations are always pure and for the students. To make sure that we're here to serve the students and to always be checking their motivations and encouraging them to make sure that they're here for the students, to represent the students, to hear the students' concerns, and to solve those problems. With that, I think that, like McKenna said, vetting senators before they come in, making sure that they have holistic motivations and that they are going to be a good fit. There's a big difficulty with having senators and losing them because they weren't motivated for the right reasons. I want to make sure that everyone coming in are doers.
Thank you. Next question.
This will be our last question.
And this will be our last question. Oh, can I do two more?
That's fine.
Is that actually, we'll go ahead and let you ask the second question, but I will get to you, sir. I'm sorry, I didn't see you. But we'll go right after.
Okay, y'all all talk equity and inclusion. What is your plan of action? And I'd like something specific, if you have one, to make this campus more accessible and more friendly. Like in the library, the handicap ramp goes straight to nothing but stairs. So like, how would you plan on making this campus more accessible to everyone?
Okay, so the question asks for you to discuss accessibility on campus. And McKenna will be the first thing to
So, of course, I'm not representative of the entire student body. I don't know every single perspective on this campus. I don't know every single issue that every student faces on this campus. So the way I would like to address that is by talking to people and making sure that they feel like their voice can be heard. And that's part of us having that open line of communication, is so that they can come and talk to us and tell us their problems so that we can address them. And so making sure that SGA is a welcoming space and a friendly environment for people to come in and say, here's my problem, here's what I'm going through, how can you help me fix this? That's the most important thing. And also, Hemant and I have talked about going out to diverse RSL organizations and not just talking about what SGA is currently doing, but opening the floor up to them and saying, hey, what issues do you see on campus? What would you like us to address? What's the biggest issues you have in your life, and what can we do about it? How can we help you? How can we serve you better? So really connections and going to them rather than them always having to come to us is what is going to help solve those problems faster and make sure that students feel really heard and appreciated for their ideas and their experiences, rather than just feeling like they're always passed by and that the university doesn't care about them, because we care about them and we want to make sure that they know that.
Holly, same question about accessibility on campus.
This is a great question, and I'm glad that you asked it very much. And that you mentioned the handicap ramp to nowhere. Every time I walk into that part of the library, it makes me a little sad because there was a lot of work put in, and then what good does it do? With that, I want to make sure that we are constantly working with the Center for Student Accessibilities. Ms. Kelly Gogor comes online, and worked with her a little bit this year. Phenomenal lady, and I want to make sure that we stay in contact with her and find issues like that and make sure that we're resolving those issues. As far as like the diversity aspect of it comes in, I would like to work with organizations like SIEGE, the Equity and Inclusion Office. Mr. Danny Moore, I want to thank you for being here tonight. Great to see your presence. It's important that we stay in contact with those people and to make sure that we are finding those issues and resolving them.
Travis, same question.
Awesome question. I'm glad you asked this. This is something that we have actually already begun working on. We've had meetings already with some students from the deaf and hard of hearing community, and they've enlightened me on so many different things on our campus that I never would have thought of. And I think it's important that we continue working with students not only from that community, but from so many other groups on those issues. I I think the best way to represent those views is to have them involved in that decision making. I would love to create some sort of inclusion board where we could allow students from different communities to have an actual physical say in the decisions that are made before events happen, not after events happen. And I also think that there's some wonderful renovations that are coming up soon on campus, and I want to make sure that we talk with the administration and ensure that during those renovations, accessibility concerns are addressed.
Okay, thank you. I believe we have time for one more question.
So competitive elections are a sign of a free and fair democracy and a healthy democracy. And in 4 years as a student senator and the inspector general, I've never once experienced a competitive election for Senate. Do you have any ideas on how to improve competitiveness and the importance of student Senate elections?
Holly will be the first to answer this question.
So to clarify the question, was that for student senators or just SGA elections as a whole?
For student senators, I think we have a perfectly competitive election for president and vice president, but not for student senate.
Right. Well, I agree. It is. Oftentimes we get done with the elections and then we don't even have a full Senate, and I think that is kind of sad in many ways. I think that the way to do that is to make sure that we are providing the outreach like we've already talked about tonight, making sure that senators know about it. Just discussing elections with people on campus now, I don't think that a lot of people know that SGA elections are even happening right now. And that's an issue and something that needs to be addressed. We need to make sure that we're promoting that we're drawing people in, and that we have a full Senate to start with. Making sure that a Senate is full is important because we're not having the full representation. If not, and I think that's the problem with us not having a competitive Senate election, is because there's just not that many people involved with the student Senate. So that's an issue that I definitely want to address to resolve that issue of not having competitiveness within senators.
Thank you very much. Travis, same question regarding competitiveness in Senate elections.
I agree. I think the Senate elections haven't been competitive up to this point. I think that's very difficult to do when we don't have a full Senate. But it's also very difficult to do when there's not that kind of communication and threat of awareness that students have that these elections are even going on. So I think that it's very important that we work on a common thread and a common outreach group, especially with this. We have a committee dedicated to student rights, equity, and outreach. And I think that that committee can do a lot to go to different RSO meetings and to go to different meetings of students on campus, and even tabling just around campus and letting students know what senators actually do, make it a prestigious role that students want to have, and then hopefully that will garner a little bit more competition in those elections.
McKenna, same question.
It's very interesting that you bring this up because us as candidates, we were discussing this a little bit before this debate, and I was talking about how just being on the ballot last year as a senator and getting a couple of votes guaranteed you to become a senator. And that's not okay, because that doesn't show that we're representative of the student body. It shows that, oh, a couple of your friends voted for you and you want to do a resume builder. That's not okay. And so the way we can improve Senate competition is to make sure that everyone has the tools that they need and feels empowered to run. Because right now, a lot of students feel like maybe they're not good enough, or maybe they're not a leader, or maybe they feel like their voice isn't valued enough. And so reaching out to all these students, reaching out to RSOs, reaching out to diverse organizations and letting them know that we value your voice and your voice matters, and we would like to have you involved in decision-making processes and making sure that you're involved in Senate, because your voice is truly what makes this campus a better place. And so giving people the power and tools to make sure that they feel empowered to make that change is what's going to help with Senate competitivity.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, that now ends the question part of our debate. We will now have closing statements. Each individual will be given 90 seconds to make a closing statement. We will go in reverse order of our opening statements. So Travis, you will go first.
I want to say again, thank you all for coming tonight. This has been a wonderful debate so far, and I think it's been we've had some very good questions and a very good opportunity for each of you to hear our goals in Senate. But what I also want to say is that these are our goals. These are the things that we know about, and I think the biggest thing that we need to look for from now on is, what are your goals? What are the things that you would like to see us do? If elected to these positions, that's a major goal of our campaign, is is to make sure that we hear from students all over campus and to make sure that we can address those concerns and follow up on those concerns. So if anyone does have anything that they would like to talk about after, I would be more than happy to talk about our goals, give a little bit more detail, and also hear your goals, hear the things that you want to see happen on campus, the things that do happen on campus that you love, and how we can improve the student experience for future kernels.
Thank you. McKenna?
SGA has truly made me the leader that I am today, and it's helped me grow and develop in ways that I could not have imagined when I first started. I first started when Nick Koenig was EVP, and he was my student teacher for the seminar that you take your first year. And he just said, hey, you seem to be passionate about what you're doing, and I want to involve you in this, and I want you to take a stab at this. And so if it hadn't been for that, I wouldn't be here today. And so I think it's so important that we're reaching out to everybody and letting them know that you have a voice and that you matter, and making sure that we have the kindness to show everyone that they are allowed to speak their minds and that we care about what they have to say. And so we're running on kindness, service, and sustainability, and that means taking care of the people on this campus, taking care of our earth, and overall kindness towards each other. And so again, I would like to reiterate what Travis said. If you want to reach out to me, if you all have any questions or concerns or want to hear more about our plans, I'd be happy to field those questions. And also, we want to hear from you all. We want to know what you all want to see from us, because we are here to serve you. We are here to represent the student body, not ourselves. We're here to represent you all. And so in order to do that, we need to have good communication with you all, and we want to be approachable, and we want to hear from you because your voice matters.
Thank you. Holly?
I absolutely love serving EKU and my fellow colonels through SGA. Me and Jana, we have a 5-stage platform, that being increase of school spirit, transparency, diversity, accessibility, and safety. My specific areas of interest are safety, accessibility, and school spirit. With that, I am super excited to be working with people. If you would like to hear more about me and Jana's campaign, you can visit our social medias or come to us. We would love to hear your concerns. We want to know more about those specific areas of interest that you have, and we want to make sure that we are advocating for you and that everything that we do is done per the voice of the students.
Okay, well, thank you all to our Vice Presidential Council. Give them a round of applause. Okay, look to my elections committee. Would you like to move straight into the presidential debate? Okay. So I guess at this point, I'll need my presidential candidates to come over. We'll draw straws again. Okay, well, without further ado, then we will go ahead and start our presidential candidate debate. We will be going in the exact same order, actually, in our panel as we did for the VP debate. And similar to the VP debate, you'll each be given 2 minutes to make an opening statement. So without further ado, we're go ahead and get started.
Is it on? Okay. So, hi everyone, I'm Jada Singleton. I've been in SGA for 2 years, and I'm super excited to even be running for student body president. I am a criminal justice major, Homeland Security certificate, and psychology minor. I've absolutely loved being in SGA, watching this past administration do a wonderful job. In campus, I'm the outreach coordinator for the EKU BCM, and I'm also on their executive leadership team. For SGA, I am their Registered Student Organizations Committee Chair. I'm also an at-large senator and love every minute of it. So, thank you guys for even getting it from the stand.
Thank you, guys.
Hi everyone, my name is Jimena Patino. I am a current sophomore double majoring in nursing and Spanish while in the honors program here at EKU. I am running for SGA Student Body President alongside my running mate, McKenna Lambert, who is running for Executive Vice President. I'm involved in a multitude of different organizations ranging from multicultural as well as other ones like Green Crew, Latino Student Association, etc. So we are here to introduce to you guys the Kindness Campaign, which does have 3 different platforms, which are kindness, service, and sustainability. So in terms of kindness, we have already heard McKenna mention our survey. We want to implement an anonymous survey that will be followed up through with contact information and utilize empathetic reasoning in order to elaborate and address all of these concerns and issues. In terms of service, we want to bring SGA to the student body, and that would be through RSOs as well as other intro seminar classes. And we also want to introduce a variety of different initiatives to cater to all students. And some examples of that include a sensory-friendly room as well as Pride Week, which is a celebration for all identities. In terms of sustainability, we hope to further enhance our campus with an outdoor study area and also introducing the initiative of composting. So thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you very much. And our third candidate.
Hello, everybody. Oh, no, it's on. Is it? Okay. Hello, everybody. I first want to say that I am completely ecstatic to be here right now and deeply honored. It's something that I have thought about a lot. But if you don't, I am a member of the Delta, the philanthropy chair for our Pan-Atlantic Council, and also a Division of Natural Areas intern. I have been involved in SGA since the fall of my freshman year. I always tell people it's the reason that I'm still at Eastern. I have completely fallen in love with it. I started out as a senator at large and then moved my way up to the deputy chair of the IT committee. And so I was very, very involved with the messy IT budget we have right now. And after that, I moved up into the COC position briefly before moving into my position as executive secretary, where I've gotten to serve in the executive cabinet, which has been really, really cool. The main thing that I'm really passionate about talking about today is inclusion. We've heard some really heartbreaking stories from the deaf and hard of hearing community here at EKU about how they have basically just been left out of the Eastern experience, and that's something we're very passionate about changing, and that we have real plans to change. We've already been talking with administration and have been working out some tangible ways that we can make that happen. So thank you.
Okay, thank you to all the candidates for those introductions. We're now going to transition into the question portion of our debate tonight. The first question, the first person will be answering this will be Paige. You'll be given 90 seconds to respond. And the question is as such. What are the 3 issues you plan to address during your time as president?
Well, the 3 issues that I plan to address are inclusion, transparency, and awareness. And so I've briefly touched on inclusion. There are multiple communities on this campus that are just completely left out. We don't think about them. We don't address their issues. And so I think that that's something really important, the deaf and hard of hearing community being a very large one of those communities. The second is transparency, and that's something that we really think can be implemented with higher up administration. There are a lot of decisions that are made without students' input at all. Fee transparency being a big thing that we're running on. It's your money. A lot of students work their way through college and they want to know where every cent and dime is going. And so I think that's something that's very important. And lastly, awareness. We really want to try to alter the Big E experience. We have freshmen that come in and they're not told who to call, where to go, what organizations we have on campus, and specifically what SGA is and what it can do for them and how they can help make an impact on campus in the 4 years that they're here. And so those are our 3 main platforms. And
thank you. Jimena, what is your 3 issues that you plan to address during your presidency?
So as I previously mentioned, our 3 main issues are going to be kindness, service, and sustainability. So I touched a little bit on kindness and that anonymous survey. We really think it's important that students realize that it is okay to bring up even the most personal issues because we will utilize empathetic reasoning in order to evaluate those. We do not have everyone's experiences, and so we want to hear from everyone with different experiences of the same world. In terms of service, we really hope to just serve those that have been underrepresented in the past, whether that is our LGBTQ+ community or students who may be neurodivergent. It is a lot more common than you realize. So that's why we really think it's important to address it. And in terms of sustainability, we have one planet, and it is our responsibility, and it is important that we are held accountable for our impact. So that is another reason why we want to connect students with our environment.
Thank you. And Jana, what 3 issues do you plan to address during the presidency?
Holly and I have a 5-step platform, as she briefly mentioned before, and ours also include transparency and accessibility, school spirit, safety, and diversity. I'm right there with Kate when she's talking about transparency. I think if we can increase the transparency and communication between upper administration and students, that will help us solve a lot of problems on campus, because a lot of the questions students seem to have could be answered if we had that clear communication. So also is safety. I think the promotion of the SAFE app is something that we can definitely work on better, because I know that when I came in, I didn't realize that we had a SAFE app. And so I think bettering that, and then also the school spirit, I think is really important for students to get involved on campus. And I know the Maroon Platoon is doing a fantastic job, but I'd love to make students feel more welcome within SGA office as well, because anybody's able to come in there. So yeah, I think those 3 areas.
Thank you very much. Our next question will be, what leadership qualities do you have to prepare you for this role? And we'll start with Hannah.
I think one of the most important leadership qualities that I want to emphasize is my ability to be okay with being wrong. I don't know everything, and it's impossible to really, but with my different perspectives as an immigrant and Latino woman, will ultimately reflect our campus a lot better than you realize. And that also has allowed me to realize that adaptability and flexibility is super, super important. So my ability to adapt to everyone and everyone's different personalities will come in handy whenever I do have meetings with people and allow them to, in turn, become leaders like myself. So I think that that is super important for everyone as a leader, but also just pushing for representation has been a passion of my own for a very long time. So that's super important. My ability to communicate has also been enhanced with working in the Office of the President with Jenna, as well as Sammy as my Chief of Staff. So I think that is very, very relative to everyone on our campus. It is important to have that level of communication, but also be able to kind of bounce off of each other whenever you do have disagreements, and then eventually come into agreements that will benefit both sides of the perspectives. So I think that those 2 are really important, flexibility as well as communications.
Thank you, Jana.
Question.
Oh, of course. What leadership qualities do you have that prepare you for this role?
So I feel that growing up, my parents really implemented me the importance of hard work. And so whatever I do, I really try to give 110%, whether that be academics or sports or extracurriculars. And I definitely know that if elected, I would give more than 110% in this role and everything I try. Also, I feel I have pretty good communication between all age groups and areas. And so I feel that that communication, I'll be able to help use that within SGA to talk with not just upper administration to help voice the concerns of the students, but also talk to the students to get those concerns and be a part of the student body. And then also, excuse me, also my determinism and my overall leadership skills that I feel like I've developed as being a natural leader. There are some skills that I think would help me in the role of student president.
Thank you. And Paige, what leadership qualities do you have that prepare you for this role?
I've held a lot of leadership positions over my life, and I don't say that to ring on the bell. I say that to say that it has taken me every single one of those positions to gain the perspective that I have on leadership now. And that is that once you reach that leadership position, you are now responsible for creating more leaders. I feel like people in leadership positions fail if they do not immediately turn around and start figuring out how they are going to raise up somebody to come in, take their job, take their position. I feel like that is a main focus when it comes to me and leadership. If I'm not turning around and using my knowledge to help somebody grow into another leader, then I felt that I failed in my leadership position.
Okay, thank you very much. Our next question will be first answered by Jana, and the question is as follows. Why do you think it's important to have a student representative on the Board of Regents, and how do you think you're qualified to serve the student body in this way?
I think it's important to have a student representative on the Board of Regents because, yes, faculty is very wise and they do a fantastic job, but having that student representation, you can talk on behalf of the students and talk for the students. And so I feel like being involved on campus as much as I am and being out there and extroverted, I'm able to make connections. And so I feel my connections with the current student body and as it grows would help me better represent the concerns that students have to faculty so that we can work together as the students and as the administration to fix the problems at hand.
Thank you. Paige, you want to talk a little bit about your qualifications to work with the Board of Regents and why you think that's important student representation?
I think that student representation is really important on the Board of Regents because the Board of Regents is a room full of adults, usually adults that are well into their adulthood, and as much as they love and care about us, they are not 20-year-olds that are involved in organizations and live in dorms and walk through this campus every single day. And so they really need and want and appreciate our opinion. And so I think that that's really important that we're there. I feel equipped because I have worked with administration a lot, and I feel that I have gained the knowledge and experience to be able to navigate conversations like that and to bring the concerns of the student body before them in a respectful and effective way.
So the Board of Regents is old, is what I'm hearing. I have the same question.
SGA's one purpose is to be the voice or the advocate for the student body. And I think by having one of us in that room where the decisions are being made, whether it be how our money is being used or what issues are being brought up, is very, very important. Obviously, how would they know if they don't walk the campus, like Paige just said? It's really important to have someone who is willing to advocate for the student body, whether it be one person that saw an issue and didn't feel like their voice was loud enough just because maybe it was only them. But odds are that is an issue that is experienced by more people than they realize. So I think it's really important to have one of us there to advocate. Me personally, I have dealt with a lot of adults and in a lot of different scenarios had meetings with staff and faculty that make me feel a lot very prepared for this role. As Director of Sustainability, I have had meetings with people like Steve Cottle when discussing funding, so that is really, really important. I think funding is a big one to understand.
Thank you. Next question. It will first be answered by Paige. Seconds. What is the challenge that you anticipate you may face as a student body president?
A challenge that I definitely know I will face is that you can't make everybody happy all the time, especially when you are the leader in the face of an organization. You often are the target of complaints and unhappiness, and I think that it's really important to be able to step back, look at your organization, look at what's going wrong, look at what's going right, and make an educated decision. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I just forgot the question and where I was going with that. So.
Okay, and the same question. What challenge do you anticipate you may face as a student body president?
I think because I pride myself so much in being empathetic to the experiences of those who live the same world but in a completely different manner and have very different experiences, I think that that is going to be honestly my biggest challenge. I think that a lot of the times there is that struggle between empathy and professionalism, which is of course very, very important, but I hope to find that balance within myself to better represent the students and be an advocate for them, but still handle myself professionally and tackle those issues, approaching it with as much professionalism as possible, whether it be through communication with the people who are above us and making those decisions in terms of funding and the real changes that occur on this campus. But that is personally my biggest issue within myself, and I think that that's an internal battle that I am more than willing to work on, and I hope to do so as student body president.
Thank you, Janet. Same question.
I'm right with Paige on this one. I think the biggest challenge for me would be receiving the negative feedback, because I know that's something that I will definitely get if elected, or any of us would get if elected. Like she said, you can't make everybody happy, and there's so many areas on campus, sometimes the students won't agree with you. They'll have different opinions. So definitely holding your ground and standing up, but also just being empathetic, like Jimena mentioned. But I also know that I'm good with taking critiques because of my history with playing multiple different sports and being extremely competitive. So I feel like I'm prepared, if elected, to handle the critiques thrown at me and the hardships that students have placed on SGA.
Thank you. Next question, Helen, I'll be the first to answer, given 90 seconds. What are your plans to make sure SGA continues to strive towards diversity, equity, and inclusion?
This is especially a really good question for me. So in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion, I am, like I previously mentioned, a Latino woman, and I'm also an immigrant. So SGA is one of those things that, to me, seemed very, very far away. I was introduced to it, thankfully, as a freshman, and thus I was eventually turned into a leader, like who you're looking at right now. So I think that it's really important to utilize SGA as a means to create leaders, and for that reason, I think it's important for us to go to those multicultural organizations and speak to people directly, as opposed to sending just an email or a newsletter or anything like that, which will get lost in the junk, ultimately, of your email. So it's really important to just have those personal connections with people and talk to them one-on-one and tell them that they can too do it. They can run for student body president, regardless of their race, regardless of their gender, regardless of their sexuality. And I think with both of us up here, we are proof of that. And I hope that people see us and they see themselves in us and hope to do the same after us.
Jen?
My father works at a liberal arts college, and so growing up, I've been around different members of the diverse community and was taught to love everyone no matter what. Just say love them and everyone is equal. And so I have grown up believing that and standing in that and standing firm in that. And so as I'm not a member of the diverse community really, so I believe that we should get out on campus and hear from those. I think that opening up SGA and making sure it feels more welcome is a huge area that we could bring people in. And so also I know many people within ISA and LSA, and they voice their concerns. And so I feel that working alongside them, hearing their concerns as members of the diverse community would help us to find areas that do need changes and ways to implement them.
Thank you, Paige.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Of course. What are your plans to make sure that SGA continues to strive towards diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Yeah, this is something that Travis and I are particularly passionate about. We've mentioned the deaf and hard of hearing community, and if you think about SGA as it is right now, a deaf student could not come and join. There's no way for them to access anything in SGA, and so that's something we're particularly passionate about, is creating, like you said, a board, a committee within SGA, something that is focused on and driving towards making not just SGA, but campus accessible to everyone. Because if you look at it, everyone's paying to go here, and campus isn't accessible to every single person. And so that's something that we're particularly passionate about.
Great, thank you. Okay, our next question will be first answered by Jana, and it is, how would you describe your leadership style?
I would say my leadership style is leading first by example and then creating a plan of action. I believe that what you do in moderation, people will do in excess. So that's why I stand so firm in the morals that I have. Because if I were to do something that I think is okay, but maybe somebody else doesn't, I could influence them in an incorrect manner. And so I think that just by leading with example and showing love and empathy and hard work throughout SGA, others also will follow. And I hope to be that inspiration. And once you do lead by example and what I hear a concern, once that concern is voiced, I would plan to speak and deliberate and think about it instead of just jumping into an answer right away. And so yes, I think that my leadership style would be leading by example and then creating plans of action.
Paige, same question?
I would describe my leadership style as something that has evolved, like I mentioned earlier. I think that I have gravitated towards leadership positions over my life because I'm a total control freak. I love being in control. I love being the leader, and I think that has led me to be the type of leader that delegates and that lets people grow. I've noticed that if you stifle people, that if you do their jobs for them, then they're never going to grow. They're never going to understand how to do their position, how to do their job. And so when you sit back and you give people parameters, you give them instructions, and you let them thrive and grow, they become great leaders themselves. And so, yeah, I would describe my leadership style as a little bit more relaxed and someone who is allowing leadership to grow within other people.
Emma?
I would actually describe my leadership style as very collaborative. So I believe that it is important to some extent, maybe baby some people in the beginning stages of their leadership development. And the reason for that is just because I think that they too need to feel empowered before they can just jump into it. And I think that that's okay. And I think it should be embraced. And I think it's important because that will allow them to see, okay, I have some help whenever I do need it. And then in turn, it will result in them expanding on their own and branching out, moving out of their comfort zone, and then leading their initiatives independently, which is ultimately the goal. And that's how you get leaders like the 6 of us up here. So I think it's really important to cater to people and give them what they need. Like McKenna said, give them the tools that they need to be successful. And then eventually they will do it on their own, and you will just watch them with a very proud smile.
Thank you. Our next question will first be answered by Paige. And the question is as follows. How will you encourage participation in SGA from students who aren't involved and increase retention for current members? In 90 seconds.
I think that making SGA something that is highly desirable, highly competitive, and prestigious even, making it something that students look at upperclassmen and go, wow, I really want to be a part of that. That looks super cool. They're doing things, they're making change, and I think that comes from publicizing what we do. We pass a lot of really impactful and really cool legislation that doesn't always make it to the student body. Students don't know what we do. And so I think that when we educate students on what we actually do and make our senators feel important and empowered, I think that really ups retention when they don't feel that they are just coming to meetings, listening, leaving, and not really having an impact.
Emma?
I think that SGA historically has relied significantly on the student body coming to us, whether it be for concerns or for involvement. And I think that that is something that needs to be addressed immediately when we are in office. And that is just because it is so important that students know and understand how SGA even works or how it runs. And the only way that they will do that is if they gain some sort of connection with us as leaders. So McKenna and I hope to come to those RSO meetings and come to the people on our campus, whether it's at El Centro, which is in McCreary Hall, or the Center for Africana Engagement, or even Siege. All of these different locations aren't really understanding what SGA is about, and that is just simply because they have no previous involvement, and we want to change that by educating them and then also encouraging them to utilize their voice and their passions for SGA to better the campus for everyone.
Thank you. Janet?
Being involved on campus, I've talked with multiple people and in conversation brought up that I'm in SGA because I love it, and I think that people would love it too if they really knew about it. A ton of people don't know about it. Majority, I would say, don't really know the SGA, what we do or where we're at. And so I really think that developing kind of an open door policy, the office is open to anyone, but most of the time you just see members in there hanging out or doing homework. And I really think if we were able to kind of home up the office and make it a place that students would feel welcome coming in, that would be great. I know that when I first joined SGA, I was very hesitant because I didn't know where the office was. And then when I found out about it, I still procrastinated going and checking it out because I was scared to go in there because everybody kind of knew and looked like they knew what they were doing. So I think just kind of making it more open on campus and then also reaching out to those on campus, getting out with the student body and talking with them and hearing their concerns and just inspiring them to join SGA.
Thank you. That's the end of our preset questions from our election committee. Do we have any questions from the student audience?
So President McFadden mentioned in our dinner with the presidents that SGA being involved in our meeting was fantastic. However, we are some of the most motivated and involved people on campus. And obviously we want more involvement, we want more student voice on campus. I want each of your takes on the difference between getting more involvement and remaining as a prestigious organization, maintaining the SGA values of scholarship and leadership and motivated individuals.
I believe Hannah is the first to answer that question.
I think it's really important to realize that every single person in SGA is very high achieving. You've heard us all talk about our leadership and whether it be involvement or just ways in which we have taken our careers and just truly run with it. I hope to be a nurse, and I know we have a ton of people up here just aspiring to do such great things for the world, and I think that's super important. So I think it's really just going to happen regardless. I think everyone's involvement is going to be really, really high, and it really just boils down to time management skills. So I think that is what definitely needs to be highlighted, but I think to increase our engagement, we definitely need to realize that not every student has the time to commit to SGA as much as we do, but we can make it so that they will feel accommodated with their time and their schedule and their passions and goals. So I think that that's going to be really what is the most important.
Janet?
So would you mind repeating the question?
Yeah. So what is your take on differentiating the SGA values of motivated individuals and bringing in involvement while remaining a prestigious organization? What's your balance between inviting more students in and having those high standards that we hold for our individuals?
Yeah, I'm with you on this also. I think that every member in SGA thus far is very high achieving. I think when you look at our Senate, we're all striving, whether it's our careers or within SGA or extracurriculars, we're all very hardworking individuals. You can be a member of SGA in as little or as much involvement as you want. Like if you just want to be in there and kind of help with CAB and throw in here and there and help set up and stuff, or if you want to work and try to be a chair or a cabinet director or run for student vice president. And so ultimately, I think making sure that our main executive leadership and our Senate, I think making sure that we inspire them to be hardworking is fantastic because it still holds that prestigious level, but also showing that we can have anybody be involved in and anybody can join and help out is also just going to increase improvement and increase, I forgot the word, but involvement.
Thank you, Paige.
I think that an easy way that we can up recruitment, but also keep this standard of senator and just member of SGA that we want to have is by having a, I don't want to say more grueling, but just more of an interview process when we bring people in, find out what they're involved in. If they're not involved in anything, find out why, and just not make it harder to get into the SGA, but make sure that we know the people that we're bringing in. And then I think on the tail end of that, setting expectations, like if you are a member of Senate, if you're a member of CAB, that there are things that are expected of you. You cannot sit back and kind of do what you want there. You're expected to attend events, you're expected to write legislation, you're expected to help with CAB events, and that we have very high expectations. And I think having high expectations of people allows them to either kind of soar or not, and I think that's how we can continue to find who can be an SGA and who can't.
Thank you. Our next question. I believe he raised his hand earlier, so I'll go there first.
Many of you have talked about transparency with administration, and so with that, many of you said that you want to be that person in that room. So my question is, how do you make sure you're shoe in the door? Because it seems like a lot of times administration will make decisions without really involving the students. How are you going to make sure that you are even close to being in that room?
Janet, you want to this question?
So I think as student vice president, you get to work with and be in the board of regents, and so I think that is kind of the first step as a shoe in the door, being able to talk to administrators within the board of regents and those members. But also, I think just making sure you have good connections with your professors and with other areas. So like getting involved with student activities or student life, making sure that you know those members, and just kind of being student body president, just spreading your area when it comes to connections, and just talking with President McFadden and helping him, and just making sure that the faculty know that you want to be there, you want to help, and you want to speak on behalf of the student body and represent issues there.
Paige?
Someone, correct me if I'm wrong, someone higher than me, but university committees are actually required to have student representation. And the two things that have happened are they either do not, or a student gets put on there that is not particularly motivated either for the topic of the committee or just in general. And so a plan that we actually have is to, one, make sure that every university committee has a student on it, and that student is motivated on that topic, whether that's dining or finance, something like that. And a fun fact, every single person at EKU is technically a member of SGA. So we plan on, maybe through an application process or something like that, finding students outside of SGA to be on those committees, so that we're putting a passionate person on the committee that will be engaged and be involved and not just sit there and not represent the students that they're supposed to.
I think that's a very good question. As a person of color, I've oftentimes had to force my seat at that table. And of course, I think everyone with different perspectives and different backgrounds has a similar experience. So I think it's really important that you put yourself out there and you advocate for not only yourself and your right to be at that table, but also the right of the student body to be at that table, because that is ultimately who you are going to be representing as student body president. So I think an emphasis on accountability is really, really important. Again, just as we should be held accountable for the commitments that we make, whether it be up here on our platforms, I think it's important that the people in those rooms who are older and who are more experienced should be held accountable. And if it is necessary, then I'm okay with being that person to hold people accountable, because I hope that everyone would do the same for me.
Thank you. Next question.
Many of you have brought up any challenges the university faces. I mean, each of you have a great platform. What is something you or neither one of your opponents have brought up that our university faces?
Paige will be the first person.
All right, off the cuff. I think that something that the university faces is, okay, I'm gonna bring up parking. And that seems like a cop-out, but I think that this comes on the topic of humanizing our administration. Courtney Collins is an amazing, hardworking woman who really does her best for students, but is misconstrued as this person who hates students and is punishing them through bad parking. And so I think that that is a large issue that the university faces, is that our administration aren't seen as humans who really do love and deeply care for us. They're just seen as these faceless people who just make these decisions that hurt us and don't care. And so I think that that's something that could be probably easily remedied through things like Dinner with the Presidents. You saw the passion that these people have for this university, and so I think that's something that could be easily remedied.
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
So aside from the three platforms represented, what is the largest concern or issue that the university faces?
I think that one of the biggest issues that the university faces is a lack of information. And I think that that can be seen in a multitude of different perspectives, because ultimately students don't realize all of the services that we do have to offer as EKU, as a university. I actually currently work with admissions as a admissions recruitment ambassador, which is a really, really fancy way of saying I'm a tour guide. So I get to see all of the different questions and concerns that students who are incoming freshmen raise to me, and I don't even realize how to answer those questions. So a lot of those times I have to go to my boss and figure out the answers for them and then hand those over. So I think that SGA, our administration, will strive for better communication of those resources, and also just making sure that the student body has an equitable access to all of the resources, whether it is access to counseling or tutoring, whatever it may be.
Jana.
I think a large issue on campus is some facilities management. I I know that the majority of our campus is older buildings, and that's fantastic. However, that also causes issues with accessibility. I know there's plenty of people that have voiced concerns to me, whether it be with wheelchair accessibility or other. And so I think that if we're able to work with facilities management and administrators in those areas, we'll be able to fix that, because like Curtis mentioned earlier, there is a ramp that leads straight to stairs. And I know that there's also some bathrooms across campus that are in stairwells, and the floor is tilted, and that's very, very difficult for those with wheelchairs. And so I think that working with facilities and fixing some of the issues that are either in dorms or elevators or buildings is a issue that needs to be fixed.
Thank you very much. Next question.
So just to kind of piggyback a little bit on Lily's question, obviously you're all high achieving or you wouldn't be here tonight. And this job is extremely demanding coming from someone who's doing it currently. And one of the things that I've learned is that you can't always do all the things that qualify you to do this job while you're doing this job. So if you're elected in this position, how will you maintain your credibility in organizations that qualify you to do this job, while also giving this job the priority that honestly it demands?
I don't know, who the first person to answer the question,
I think it's a very good point. Obviously, I'm very involved in a multitude of different organizations, and I am currently double majoring while in the honors program. And it sounds like a lot, and it sounds very intimidating, and sometimes it can be. But at the end of the day, you can only do as much as you tell yourself you can. And if I believe that I can put all of these things on a planner and make it work, then I will. And I have done that. I've actually planned out my 4-year plan for all of my involvement and engagement within the university. So I'm actually, I need 4 classes to finish one of my majors, which is huge. And all of those classes can be done through study abroad, which is a really fun way to have like a break and also just keep myself grounded. So I think a lot of the ways in which I will be able to time manage and just balance everything out is by seeing the fun in things and taking that as my free time, which is what I currently do. So I think it's really important, of course, to prioritize a position like student body president, and I will, because obviously it does require a lot of the time. I've seen how Jenna works, and it takes a lot of effort and a lot of work, and being in the office is going to be my #1 priority, just because that can truly serve as your study area, but also it's where you work. And so I think having that differentiation between spaces is really important to get yourself in work mode and be the most productive that you can.
Gina?
I am in a multitude of organizations as well, and my major is something that requires a lot of hard work. I'm a criminal justice major. I'm getting a certificate in Homeland Security, like I mentioned before, and I plan to hopefully do law enforcement or federal law enforcement. And so I enjoy a challenge, and I enjoy the hard work. It's what makes me go. And so I believe that my organizational skills and that strive for hard work and my passion for running for student body president, all 3 will help me stay motivated and stay to be the best student body president I can be if elected.
Paige?
This is something that I have thought a lot about, and if elected, I will be stepping down from my position in Panhellenic, as well as my job with natural areas. That would probably fade out over the summer. These are things that my supervisors are well aware of. They're super supportive of me doing this, and so they are completely aware that I would maybe be transitioning out of those. That is just for respect for this position. I feel that if students' tuition is going to pay me, pay for my housing, pay for my schooling, things like that, that this needs to be right behind my homework, my biggest priority, and it's a full-time job, and so I feel that I need to give it the attention and respect that it deserves.
Thank you. Next question.
All right, so I know, like in the case of diversity, like you all basically wanted to promote diversity. Like I know that there are some aspects of campus that support certain aspects of diversity, like such as race relations and religious values, sexual orientation, and gender identity and stuff like that. But neurodiversity appears to have been kept out of the spotlight, like pretty much either most of the time or perhaps even all the time. So how would you all, if you all are elected, how would you all like best handle the representation of, or best promote neurodiversity to the campus community?
Jan, I'll be our first to answer this question.
Well, that's fantastic to mention that because it does seem to have been left out in a lot of areas of campus. And so I don't have a ton of knowledge in this area, but I'm not one to shy away from seeking help. So I believe that in this case, I would work with the Center for Student Accessibility and others in the neurodiverse community to see what you all think needs to be changed or ways that you guys think that we could help you. So I think that really just getting involved in working with members of the community and administrators with the Center for Student Accessibility are some ways that we could help promote and change some of the downsides that have been brought on neurodiversity across campus.
That's a fabulous question, Andrew. Thank you so much for asking that. Neurodiversity is something near and dear to my heart, and so I think an easy way to do this is to just find other senators and other people within the organization that are also passionate about it and bringing them together, whether that's in an ad hoc committee or informally, and having them plan things like mental health week, things like safety week, or even if it's just a day, just get them all working together in one space in order to promote this.
I think it's a really good point that neurodiversity has been left out of the loop when diversity is brought up. And I think it's vital for us to address that. So one of our initiatives is actually a sensory-friendly room. And that was actually, that started because one of the members in my current sustainability cabinet is autistic and has had a lot of struggles with overstimulation, among other things, just throughout our campus, because the way that it is laid out, there is truly no access to a space that is comfortable and accommodating to the needs of people who are neurodiverse and have overstimulation concerns or anything like that. So I think it's really important to advocate for that group of people, because I myself do not identify as neurodiverse despite all of my different ways in which I am diverse. So I think it's important, again, to go to the people who have those experiences, because we don't know them and we want to hear from the people that do. So that is just one of the ways.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question.
I think a lot of the time when people think of SGA, there's a huge disconnect between Senate and CAB. So if elected, how would you increase communication between the two branches and working with Lily and Curtis?
This question will first be answered by Paige.
I think that an easy way to fix that is just if we all see each other. I personally, other than maybe a couple members, have no idea who's in CAB, and that's not anybody's fault. It's just because our branches usually do such wildly different things. You guys obviously do the really fun, cool stuff, and so we just really never get to see you guys unless we are at those events. And so I think doing things like maybe SGA-wide socials, events that everybody in SGA attends that maybe just aren't the like semester meetings that we have, something that's fun and engaging, I think is a really easy, tangible way to fix that.
I think a lot of the times there seems to be a misconception that if you are in CAB, then you can have no say in the office of the president, or you can have no say in Senate. And that's truly what I said it was. It's a misconception. I actually was unaware that I could do these things until I spoke with Jenna very recently, and I started collaborating with the outreach committee within Senate. So I'm currently director of sustainability, but I also have some efforts in other areas of that, and I think people just really don't realize that you can do that. So I think just pushing that and helping people realize that you can have a focus in one of the areas and still contribute to the success of all the other branches of SGA. So yeah, I think it's really important to get rid of that disconnect, like you mentioned, and just collaborate more closely with the CAB vice president as well as the EVP, just because you need to have that clear communication.
There definitely is a huge disconnect between Senate and CAB. Like Paige mentioned, I also don't really know who all is in CAB. So I think that the Senate socials that Holly and EVP Wynn have kind of started is a great thing. And so I think that expanding that to other areas of SGA would really be helpful. So when we're all going out to eat, just also throw it into the CAB group chat or the SGA group chat and see who wants to come. And so kind of create that into be, yes, a social, Senate social, but also just having areas where we can also do just SGA socials, whether it's go to the ball game together or all go out to dinner or a movie. But creating those closer friendships and relationships would also help create the bond between the two.
Thank you very much. Next question.
So you all have mentioned how you're going to reach out to different parts of the community of the campus. Do you have any plans to reach out more to grad students, as they are a pretty large part of campus? And I don't know how well they're represented, but they haven't been mentioned a lot tonight.
Kennedy, you can start with that question in 90 seconds on outreach to graduate students.
I think that that's a very good point. I believe in Senate we had maybe one grad student, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's definitely a big group of people who are underrepresented. And I think that, again, bringing SGA to the students is going to be really, really important. And of course, we do have a ton of students in graduate programs, which we have a great variety of. So we can go to those meetings, we can go to those classes and talk to students who are involved in those different graduate programs and further connect with them that way.
That is a great question. I've heard this from multiple different of my friends within the grad school here at UKU. I know that one of my friends within the occupational therapy grad program really has voiced concerns, and her classmate has voiced concerns. They're like, we don't feel like we have anything to do here on campus. So I think that really going to those classrooms and going, like Humana said, going to those classrooms and talking with those people and just reaching out to your own friends within the grad school area of campus and hearing what they want to have on campus. And then we can hopefully write legislation or work with them and CAB to create events that also cater towards grad students more, because their involvement on campus is just as important as the average student.
The poor grad students, I feel like they're seen as like ex-college students. They're like adults who like they don't want to hang with us anymore, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. And I'm an RA and I have a GRHC. That's just one of my advisors who's a graduate student, and he has shown me on a very personal level that they feel being left out. I thought he was going to cry when he heard he couldn't go to T-Pain. Or that tickets wouldn't be as available to him as if he was an undergraduate. And so I think just viewing them as a integrated part of our undergraduate community is an easy way to fix that, because they often get forgotten.
Where's that? Okay, next question. One more, okay, we've got time for one more question. Or if we run out of clock. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
What experience has prepared you best to actually keep the duties of president?
Okay, Janet, you'll start with this.
I think learning the leadership skills that I have within sports growing up has been a huge thing for me, because my coach just really grounded into me as a kid that you give it your all. You don't go out there and you don't float it. So I think that the hard work that I've learned growing up, and then also the morals that my parents have taught me growing up, have played a huge role in who I am today and why I'm in the leadership positions that I'm currently in and why I'm striving to do the job that I'm here at EKU pursuing. I also think that my want and need to help people is another huge reason why I'm running in this position and would make a great student body president. I really want to help and be there for people and advocate on behalf of them and work for and with them. And so I think that my connection with the student body and hopefully as that grows, mixed with my leadership skills and my determination and hard work and communication skills would really help me be a great student body president.
Thank you, Paige.
I feel extremely equipped to do this job, and that is through nothing that I have done, and it is everything that other administrations have done to build me into the leader that I am today. I had the pleasure of serving under Nick and Ewell, and they were vital in making me the confident leader in SGA that I am today, as well as Ken and Jenna and Jake. Having Nick and Ewell look at me and tell me that I was capable of being a deputy chair, capable of being COC, capable of having a real opinion in Senate and making real change, impacted the way that I have behaved and moved my way through SGA a lot, and is the reason why I feel extremely equipped to do this job.
Come on.
My parents quite literally picked up their life and moved into a different country for me to have these opportunities, and I plan to make the best out of them. I think from the very beginning, my involvement with SGA was within the Office of the President under Sandy Hughes, who was the previous director of sustainability. And right off the bat, I was pushed way out of my comfort zone. I was asked what I wanted to do for Earth Week, what initiatives I wanted to lead, and I didn't know how to answer these questions because I had never done that before. But she pushed me, and then Jenna pushed me by appointing me as Director of Sustainability. So I think that truly, I just want to continue to follow through with that sense of leadership and that experience that I have. So I think it's really important to continue to move myself out of that comfort zone and just reach my boundaries.
Okay, thank you all. We've now come to the portion of the debate where each candidate will be given the opportunity to make a 90-second closing statement. We'll go in the opposite order that we did our opening statements, so Paige, you will go first.
I just want to start by, again, thanking you all for being here and reiterating how honored I am to be in this position. Those who know me personally know I'm not one to stutter and shake. I'm a pretty confident public speaker. But this position in this organization, in this university, is something that I have come to care about deeply. This is a position that I have been working towards very, very hard since I came in freshman year. And so we have real plans to make real change on this campus, tangible things that we will do when we get into office. And I'm really excited, if elected, to be able to do those things and to better EKU.
First off, I just want to thank you all for being here. I know we've kept you here very, very long. But again, thank you so much for the opportunity. Without you guys, the 6 of us would not be sitting up here right in front of you, telling you about all of our hopes and plans and dreams, and hopefully, with the help of the student body, we will be able to make those come true. Regardless of who wins, I know that SGA will be in the best hands possible. I know that these people will be held accountable, whether it be by myself or them holding me accountable for all of the things that we have discussed here today. So thank you all again so much for being here and having us speak on your behalf, because ultimately this is the decision about your life. So thank you so much. And if you would like to contact McKenna or myself to further just elaborate on some of our initiatives and goals, because this is kind of just the very top surface level of them, feel free to do so. We'll be hanging out right after this. And then of course you can follow us on Instagram at Kindness Campaign 2022. But again, thank you guys so much.
And Jenna.
So just gonna thank you guys so much, because like I said, we wouldn't be up here without you guys. And so we really just appreciate it. And I know that Holly and I are really working hard and really hope to be elected. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening, taking time out of your day to come out to the debate. And we really hope that if elected, we can make the big plans and the big change on campus that will help further our student body and help further our community and campus. And so just thank you guys so much, and vote March 22nd.
Excellent way to end. Why don't we go ahead and give a round of applause for all of us.
Let's give a round of applause to President Noblett for being I want to thank you all for coming tonight. You have done your first step in making an educated vote on March 22nd. So make sure you log into my EKU, stop by the office if you have any questions, and of course reach out to anyone from our election chair if you have any concerns or questions of the election. Talk to these people afterwards. Obviously, they all want to speak to you, so the questions don't stop here. The learning doesn't stop here. Take them with you and bother them for the rest of the night. I'm sure they'd love it. And just thank you all again, and hope you have a wonderful night. Thank you so much.
You guys. Yeah.
Thank you.
You can probably just use which camera?
So right here is good? Okay.
So I'm here with running for president for SGA, and I was just wondering, what are you most looking forward to if elected?
Oh, what am I most looking forward to if elected? Definitely working with the student and forming that connection on campus. Because like I mentioned in the debate, I was so clueless coming in like 2 years ago to SGA. It was super intimidating, and so I think that like promoting the office and just making it a space where people can come and eat and hang out and watch a movie or listen to music or even do their homework is fantastic because it'll not only promote involvement in SGA, but also involvement in other organizations as people meet other people and make those connections. And so I think really just hearing the students' concerns and opening it up to everybody is something I'm super looking forward to because I feel like it's kind of been closed off in the past.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Thank you. So I am here with the Bettina Lambert Party campaign, and I was just wondering, what are you guys most looking forward to if elected?
I think me personally, I'm very looking forward to just having that communication with the rest of campus. I think obviously I'm very, very involved with all the different organizations on our campus, but beyond that, that's pretty much it. You can only do so much. So I just really hope to be in touch with the rest of the campus and hear what everyone has to say, whether it be constructive or not, for me as a leader or just EKU in general. So I'm really, really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm most looking forward to making those connections with the faculty and other students on campus because for me, I look at this as a way to help raise up voices that are very underrepresented on this campus. And for me, I'm very excited to be in those spaces and hopefully speak to more people and learn more and grow more because I don't know what it's like for everybody on this campus. And I am so open to change and growth, and that's something that's very important to me. And so that's what I'm most looking forward to. And I'm very much looking forward to being in a position where I can make the change that I want on this campus, where I can, I've talked about plans for almost 2 hours, but I'm excited to really just go out there and make change happen for everyone on campus and to raise up the student voice. Thank you guys so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Yes. Okay. So I'm here with Paige Murphy. She's running for the presidential part, and I was just wondering, what are you most looking forward to if elected?
That's a big question. This, like I mentioned up there, is something that I have been planning for and really looking forward to all my entire college career up until now. And so I think that the thing I'm most excited about is getting to work with administration and students. I think that it's really cool to have a foot in both worlds, to see that the people that are running this university really care about us, then hearing student concerns and being able to bring the right people together. That's something I'm really excited to do.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. My name is Taylor Hogshead, and this has been the Eastern Progress.